Hello everyone. So today we're going to be discussing the main impacts of coronavirus on visa holders here in Australia. So I'm joined by Azeem here today, and he works as a CEO of his company called Visae. So nice to be with you, Azeem.
Thank you very much, Cara. Thanks for the invite.
So I've got some main questions here which have cropped up during the pandemic of the coronavirus concerning the whole visa situation. So one of the first questions I'd like to ask you is, what about the visa holders that are stuck overseas? How do they return to Australia? What can we do with their situation?
Yes, Cara, first of all, let me tell you, there's so many types of visas, and each visa has their own limitations. Each visa has its own conditions of grant. So I will try to tell you about the most significant one at the moment, which is people who are in Australia. They spend a lot of money studying, and they wanted to further explore their options in Australia, and they had an opportunity of applying for a work visa because of their completion of studies, which is the 485. But once they applied it, they thought of visiting back home, meeting their family members or whoever, and then come back and work here. But during this process, when they were on a visit, this coronavirus thing happened, and unfortunately they're not able to travel back. Now most of them are on bridging visa B. Bridging visa B is only for a limited time. So a person who's on a bridging visa B traveling has to come back within that window of time, and they're not able to make it now because they can't travel. And so what happens to them? Because the grant is only going to happen positively if they are over here. That's the policy. That's the law. It is granted onshore. It's not granted offshore. So unfortunately, it's a very bitter news for them. But they will. If this travel restrictions persist, they will have to stay back, and the time of their bridging visa B is going to finish, and most likely outcome is they're going to get a refusal. And once they get a refusal, then they have to reconsider all their options, whether they stay back, if they want to come to Australia, start living here, what kind of visa they're looking for. They'll have to get it assessed. I advise to hire a professional for this purpose and get their options reassessed. Unfortunately for them, they can't make if they can't make it back in time, then they're not going to get a favorable decision. Most likely they can apply for a visit visa, come back and see what options they have. Similarly, before I finish this point, is about the other visa holders, other visas that were granted. They were offshore. They never came to Australia. They applied for skilled immigration, for instance. They got it granted, and now the time for the date when they have to be here, they need to get it extended. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to make it on that visa. So that's another problem they're facing. So I think this is how I can concise this and answer it. But it's such a diverse question. There's so many answers to it. So anyway, moving on to the next one.
Okay, so if they have a condition on their visa, which means that they cannot apply further from onshore, what happens then?
Yes. You see a lot of people who were here visiting Australia.
Yeah.
People who are coming from developed countries, generally they don't have this condition, which is 8503 we're talking about. It says that on a visit visa, especially from underdeveloped people who are visiting from an underdeveloped country, they generally have this condition that they cannot apply further for another visa from onshore. So what do they do now? Their visa is expiring and they cannot travel back, and of course they don't want to make their visa history bad for the future, with a refusal or with becoming unlawful or illegal. So but the government, Australian government, is having has come up with this option that they are giving waivers. So if somebody has a condition on their visa that they cannot apply any further from onshore, they will need to apply for a waiver, and most of the applications are coming out as positive. So then they can further apply from onshore whatever visa they are interested in, whether it be visit, whether it be work visa, whether it be other visas. That's doable.
Okay, so concerning the whole coronavirus crisis, has the government introduced any new visas to assist what is going on currently with visa holders?
Well, they've done a few relaxations. One of the visas that they've introduced, and I think people have taken it, have kind of misunderstood it, is about this visa 408. Now 408 is an old visa that existed, and now government has made relaxations. There are different streams to it. The relaxations they have made is that if they're essential workers, and for example there are 28 days to go, or under 28 days before the expiry, or their visas expired and they're less than 28 days, after the expiry, then they can apply for a 408, but provided the eligibility measures to be met, which are relaxed, and especially for people who are doing essential work, and especially for occupations that are doing important work during this pandemic, in the cause of getting out of this pandemic. So yeah, that's what 408. But just don't think that if you're on any visa you can just go and apply for 408, and regardless that you meet the eligibility, you must get it assessed first.
Okay, great. So concerning this pandemic then, when do you think the restrictions may go back to normal? When do you think they'll allow people to start traveling again? And
well, Kara, the thing is, of course, until the vaccine is out, or until the governments come up with certain policy, or they get a control over corona, and they see safety, they see that enough safety measures are taken, or are put in place, and then only then things are going to get back on track. Otherwise it's a very bad situation, and my prayers to all of them being affected, and even for myself, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, it's just an unfortunate situation. So is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't discussed already concerning how it may affect visa holders? Anything related?
Well, yes. I know that people are in problems already. They've got financial issues. They've got they've got trouble with their future plans, with the visas. It's a tricky immigration and visas. These are tricky things to deal with. I myself didn't used to think that way, but ever since coming into this field of work, I've realized that how anybody can make mistakes, and even a small mistake can really mess up their future chances of anything. So even if with the pandemic and everything, do consult a proper a migration agent, a MARO registered one, because they know the laws, and they know what's best for the client. Exceptions are always there, but don't take it lightly. To add to this, apart from the pandemic, I would say that people who come here on temporary visas and they don't have proper plans, and they're young, and if they don't want to waste time and look back after 4 or 5 years that they've wasted all those years, I would say first thing, anybody who's fresh and who likes Australia, wants to stay here, or wants to do something, some work or anything, build a career, it's very important that they hire a consultant, or they get a good consultation session with at least couple of consultants to be sure what are their options and how they can best use their situation, experience and everything.
Okay, great. So I think we've covered a lot of the areas there that a lot of people in Australia are obviously concerned about with this pandemic, and I want to thank you for your time discussing all the different issues that we are now facing. And if you have any questions or you need assistance at home, then please contact Visa Ease.
Thank you very much, Cara. Thanks for the invite again, and good luck and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.